life has a way of bringing us to a crossroads. In moments when everything seems impossible, when the weight of the world presses on our shoulders, there is a power that stirs inside of us that we can't always explain, but we can feel. It's in those moments that we have to remind ourselves, I made it through before, and I will make it through again. There's a strength within you that you may not always see, but it's there, buried deep beneath the surface of your circumstance. Sometimes when you look back over your life, you can see just how far you've come. And it's in that journey that you start to understand how you got here. Have you ever wondered how you made it to this point? How you survived the storms that were meant to take you out, how you found your way through the darkness when it felt like the light would never break through again. It wasn't by accident. It wasn't by chance. It wasn't because of what you had, what you could do, or what you understood in that moment. It was because something within you kept pushing, even when everything else said stop. That something was planted deep within you before you even knew it was there. Maybe you're in a place right now where things aren't looking the way you hoped they would. You've been fighting battles, making decisions, wrestling with doubts. Maybe you're even questioning whether or not you're on the right path. But I want to remind you today, you have survived every single thing that was meant to destroy you. Every obstacle that seemed like a mountain has now become a stepping stone for your future. And I know it's hard to see it in the moment, but what if everything that happened was designed to push you into the very place you were meant to be? You see, we often look at the valleys in our lives as signs that we are lost. We think that when things aren't going the way we thought they would, we've somehow missed the mark. But what if I told you that every setback, every struggle, every challenge has been a part of a bigger plan, something bigger than your own understanding? Those hard seasons, those were the very things shaping you, molding you, making you ready for the next phase of your journey. And though it may not feel like it right now, the very place where you feel stuck is the place where you're about to see something break through in your life. You know, we often talk about faith like it's a thing we can just turn on and off. I've got faith for this, we say. But what happens when the storm rages and all you feel is doubt? What happens when the road ahead is unclear and all you have left is a tiny seed of hope? That's when you realize faith is not always about seeing the finish line. It's about trusting that you're headed in the right direction. Even when the path doesn't make sense. There was a time when I felt like I was in the wilderness. I had all these dreams, all these aspirations, but every step forward felt like 2 steps back. I asked myself, how did I end up here? How did I get to this place where it feels like I'm running in circles? But then I stopped. I paused long enough to realize something. Just because the road wasn't straight didn't mean I wasn't headed in the right direction. Sometimes in life, it's the detours that lead us to our destiny. It's the moments where we think we've lost our way that God is actually preparing us for something greater. The pain you're experiencing today is nothing more than the pressure required to bring out the purpose inside of you. And I want you to hear me. That purpose is bigger than your situation. It's bigger than your past. It's bigger than your fear. So what do you do when you're in the middle of the struggle? When you're staring at the mountain and it feels like the mountain is staring right back at you? You don't give up. You don't quit. You keep walking, one step at a time. I know it's hard. I know it's painful, but let me tell you something. Every step you take, every moment you choose to keep going, you are getting closer to your breakthrough. There's something powerful about choosing to keep going even when you don't feel like it. In those moments, your resilience becomes your weapon, your faith becomes your foundation, and your trust in something bigger than yourself becomes the anchor that holds you steady. It's when you feel like you're about to break, when you're at your lowest point, that you realize there's a strength in you that you never knew was there. That strength, my friend, is not just for you, it's for others too. You are not in this alone. You've got people watching you. You've got people who are looking at you and wondering, how you're going to handle this next season of your life. And I want to remind you, you are stronger than you think. You are capable of more than you can imagine. You are not just going through this for yourself, but for the people who need to see what God can do in someone who is willing to trust the process. And here's the good news. The journey you've been on, the struggles you've faced, the battles you've fought, they've all been part of your preparation. Everything you've walked through has been shaping you, refining you, building something in you that the world is about to see. Your story is not finished yet. And you know what? Sometimes we forget that. We think that because we're in the middle of something, we've already reached the end. But I'm here to tell you, the best chapters of your life are still ahead of you. Your dreams are still possible. It's knowing that even when you don't have the answers, you are still being guided towards something greater. It's trusting that though you don't understand the process, the purpose is greater than your understanding. When you choose to trust, even in uncertainty, you open yourself up to the possibility of something greater than what you could have imagined. Faith is about walking through the unknown with the assurance that you are being led towards something meaningful. Faith is the quiet, steady belief that even when the road ahead is unclear, the journey itself is shaping you. It's the knowledge that no matter how difficult things may seem, there's always a way forward. Faith doesn't always make things easier, but it makes it possible to endure. It's the strength that helps you keep moving when everything inside of you says to stop. And even when you don't have all the answers, faith allows you to trust that you are still heading in the right direction. It's not about knowing the full picture, but trusting that each step you take is part of something greater than you can see. Every experience you go through, every moment of pain, every struggle, and every challenge is shaping you in ways you might not even realize. It's easy to want to bypass the discomfort and push through life without feeling the weight of the hard times. We often look at our pain and wonder why it's necessary. We wonder why we have to face struggles and hardship. It feels unfair. It seems like the universe has singled us out for suffering, but in reality, our pain is part of the process. It's the very thing that is shaping us into who we need to be. You've probably had moments in your life when things didn't go according to plan. Things fell apart, people disappointed you, or you were faced with the kind of challenge that left you feeling helpless. It's in these moments that the question arises, why do we have to go through pain? Why do we have to face struggles? It's easy to feel lost in these times, to feel like the universe has dealt us a bad hand. But what if we could shift our perspective? What if the struggles weren't the end, but the beginning of something new? What if pain wasn't something to avoid, but something to embrace because it's refining us for something greater? Every time you face a challenge, it's like a refining fire that removes the things that don't serve you, leaving behind the core of who you are. The pressure and heat of life's trials serve as a process of purification. The struggles are not in vain. They serve a purpose that you may not see in the moment. As hard as it is to accept, the difficulties you face today are preparing you for something that's waiting for you in the future. They are teaching you something that can't be learned through comfort or ease, but only through adversity. You can't have strength without resistance. You can't have growth without pressure. We often look at other people's lives and think they have it easy. We see their successes and wonder why it seems like everything comes so easily to them. But we don't always see the struggles they've endured behind the scenes. Everyone has their battles, their pain, their moment of reckoning. And just like you, they've been through the fire. They've gone through their own process of refinement, their own journey of growth. The difference is, they didn't let their pain define them. They allowed their struggles to shape them. Think about the way precious metals are refined. The process is intense. The metal is subjected to extreme heat, melted down to remove impurities, and then reshaped into something pure, something valuable. This process doesn't come without a cost. The metal has to endure intense heat. But when it comes out of the fire, it is no longer just ordinary metal. It is something beautiful, something stronger, something more valuable. That's what your struggles do for you. They are the heat that shapes you into something stronger, something more refined, and something more valuable. You may not feel it in the moment, but every challenge you face is working to purify and strengthen you. The pain you go through has a purpose. It's easy to get stuck in the mindset that your pain is pointless, that it's just something you have to endure until it's over. But that's not the full story. Every hardship you face is a lesson in disguise. The struggles are teaching you how to be patient, how to persevere, how to trust, and how to grow. You learn lessons through your struggles that you could never learn in times of ease. It's when you're pushed to your limits, when everything seems impossible, that you discover just how strong you really are. The strength you gain through pain is the kind of strength that can't be shaken. It's the kind of strength that only comes through enduring the hardest moments in your life. Another powerful part of this process is how your pain helps you connect with others. There's something incredibly powerful about being able to empathize with someone because you've been through what they're going through. Your struggles become the bridge that connects you with others, allowing you to offer hope and encouragement to those who are facing their own battles. When you've walked through the fire and come out on the other side, you can tell others that they too can survive their own trials. You can tell them that the pain they're experiencing is not the end, it's part of their journey. Your struggle becomes their inspiration, and your pain becomes the thing that empowers someone else to keep going. But perhaps one of the greatest truths about pain is that it doesn't last forever. The pain you're feeling today is not permanent. The struggle you're facing right now is temporary, even though it may seem like it's going to last forever. There's an end in sight. Life moves forward, and eventually the pain subsides. But what remains is the strength, the wisdom, and the resilience that you've gained from the experience. The trials you've gone through will shape you for the rest of your life. They will give you the courage to face future challenges with a new perspective, with new strength, and with a deep trust in yourself. It's easy to get discouraged when the road is tough, when you feel like you're doing everything you can and still not making progress. It's tempting to give up. But that's when you have to remind yourself that the process is working. Even when you don't see the results immediately, even when you feel like you're stuck, you are still growing. You're still becoming the person you were always meant to be. The process of refinement takes time. But every step, every challenge is part of the bigger picture. Another important aspect of this journey is the fact that your pain doesn't define you. The mistakes, the failures, the heartbreak, they are part of your story, but they are not who you are. You are not the sum of your struggles. You are not defined by the hard times you've endured. Instead, your story is defined by how you rise from the struggle. Your strength comes from your ability to overcome, to push through, and to keep going despite everything. You don't have to let your pain shape you into something bitter or defeated. You have the choice to allow it to shape you into someone stronger, someone more compassionate, someone more resilient. Think about the heroes of the past, the people we look up to because of their accomplishments and their perseverance. Many of them had to endure unimaginable hardships. They went through suffering, loss, and struggle, but it was through those struggles that they found their purpose. It was in the pain that they discovered their strength and their ability to rise above their circumstances. Their pain didn't stop them. It propelled them forward. It became the fuel for their purpose, and your pain can do the same. It's important to remember that the struggles you face today are part of a much bigger picture. You may not see it yet, but every moment of difficulty is helping to create something greater. The pain is teaching you things you couldn't learn any other way. It's refining your character, building your resilience, and shaping your purpose. You may not understand it right now, but eventually you'll look back and see how everything fit together. You'll see how the challenges you faced led you to a place of growth, wisdom, and strength. And as you continue to grow, as you continue to face the struggles that come your way, remember that the pain you feel now is not in vain. It is doing something powerful in you. It is preparing you for something greater, something more meaningful. Even though it's hard to see in the moment, the pain will eventually give way to something beautiful. And when it does, you'll be able to look back and say, that's when I became who I was always meant to be. There's a powerful truth that we often overlook in our lives. Progress is not always visible in the moment. We live in a world where we want results now, where we want to see immediate changes, immediate success, and immediate rewards. When we plant a seed, we expect it to grow quickly. When we set a goal, we expect to reach it within a specific timeline. But the truth is, the best things in life don't always happen instantly. Growth, change, and progress take time. Sometimes it feels like you're putting in all the effort, all the energy, and not seeing the results you hoped for. It can feel like nothing is happening, but even when you can't see it, there's always something happening beneath the surface. This is a truth that we need to learn to embrace. Progress isn't always visible, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because you can't see the growth doesn't mean it's not there. When you plant a seed in the soil, you don't immediately see the sprout pushing through the earth. The roots are growing deep beneath the surface. The seed is breaking down, preparing for something much greater. And that's how progress works in our lives. It often starts below the surface, in the quiet moments where no one is watching, in the times when you're putting in the work, doing the small things and wondering if they even matter. The reality is that every small action you take, every step you make is building toward something bigger. We often get discouraged when we don't see immediate results. We expect to see our hard work pay off right away. We want the rewards, the success, and the recognition. But the truth is, the most meaningful progress often happens in the places where we can't see it. It's in the quiet moments of doing the work, of persevering, even when no one is watching, even when it feels like you're not moving forward. It's in those moments that your character is being developed, that your strength is growing, and that your foundation is being built. Think about the process of building a skyscraper. The building doesn't just appear overnight. Before the structure can rise, there has to be a deep foundation laid. It takes time to dig into the earth, to build something solid that can hold the weight of everything that comes after. That foundation is often invisible to the naked eye, but without it, the building can't stand. Similarly, in our lives, the invisible work is just as important as the visible results. It's the work that goes into developing our character, building our resilience, and strengthening our resolve. And while we may not see it immediately, it's all laying the groundwork for the greater things that are coming. Sometimes we look at other people's successes and feel like they have it all figured out. It seems like they've arrived while we're still struggling, still working our way through the process. But here's the truth. What you see on the surface is only part of the story. What you don't see is the time they've spent working in the shadows, the sacrifices they've made, the moments of failure, and the patience they've had to develop. Success doesn't come without hard work and a lot of unseen progress. It's easy to look at someone else's achievements and think they came effortlessly, but that's rarely the case. Every success has a foundation of unseen effort behind it. This is where we have to learn to trust the process. It's so easy to get discouraged when you feel like you're putting in all your energy and not seeing any results. But the process is working. Every step you take, no matter how small it may seem, is part of something bigger. Even when it doesn't look like things are changing, even when it feels like you're stuck, there's progress happening. It's happening in the background, under the surface, where you can't always see it. And over time, the results will start to show up. You'll begin to notice that things are starting to shift, that the foundation you've been building is becoming more solid, and that you're moving closer to the person you're meant to be. Patience is such a crucial part of this process. We live in a world of instant gratification where everything is available at the click of a button. We want things now. We don't want to wait. But growth doesn't happen on a timeline. It doesn't happen when we demand it. It happens when we trust the process. When we keep moving forward, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Progress takes time. It takes patience. It requires that we keep doing the right things even when we don't see immediate results. It's about trusting that just like the seed that's growing beneath the soil, the work you're doing now is laying the groundwork for something much bigger in the future. It's also important to recognize that progress is not always linear. We often expect that once we start moving forward, it will always be a straight line. We want our journey to be smooth and easy, but that's rarely the case. There will be setbacks, detours, and moments when you feel like you've taken 2 steps back instead of 1 step forward. But the setbacks don't negate the progress. The detours don't erase the work you've done. Sometimes life takes you down unexpected paths, but even those paths can lead you to where you need to be. Progress isn't always about moving in a straight line. It's about the overall direction you're heading in, even if that direction takes some unexpected turns along the way. You have to embrace the fact that progress will look different for everyone. We each have our own pace, our own path, and our own timeline. Don't compare your journey to someone else's. It's easy to look around and feel like you're not moving fast enough, not achieving enough, not getting ahead like everyone else. But your journey is unique to you. Your progress is yours to define. It's not about how quickly you get to the destination. It's about how you keep moving forward, even when it's hard, even when you don't see the results right away. Trust that the progress you're making is taking you exactly where you need to go, even if you can't see it right now. And let's not forget the power of small wins. We often dismiss the small victories because they don't seem significant enough. But small wins build up over time. Each tiny step forward, each small piece of progress is a victory in itself. When you start to recognize and celebrate the small wins, you begin to realize just how much progress you've actually made. Those small steps are what build momentum, and over time, they add up to something much bigger. Don't wait until you see the big result to celebrate. Celebrate the small victories along the way. They matter. They count. They are proof that you are moving forward, even when you can't see the end result yet. Ultimately, progress is about persistence. It's about continuing to put in the work, continuing to take the steps, even when you don't see the results right away. It's about understanding that just because things aren't changing as quickly as you'd like, it doesn't mean they aren't changing at all. Growth happens in the moments when you least expect it, in the quiet work that no one else sees, in the persistence that others might not notice. But over time, those small actions build up, and before you know it, you're in a completely different place than where you started. Trust that the process is working even if you can't see it right now. Keep moving forward, keep believing, and keep working, and you'll see the results of your progress eventually. It might not happen overnight, but it will happen